I quickly just want to show you how these reference types work, which is what we did here with the props. I'm just going to copy this up here, so for an illustration later on. So just making the component being printed twice, so we have them like this. And right now, if you click one of these, you can see it actually accesses both of those and prints out the description of whatever I added. Tastiness, there we go. What I wanted to do now is I wanted to add a little bit more. I want to show you how if we create something that actually changes the data, it grabs from here, what happens to the other components that are actually using them. So the easy solution is I'm just going to create a button up here where I'm going to do a v-on, if I can do it correctly, v-on, whoops, dash, v-on, oh my good lord, v-on click, there we go. And we're just going to create one called delete cakes. So this is our method that we're going to create. And that's it for this button up here. You also need some delete an item. I'm horrible at spelling right now. The name of our method is delete cakes, so of course we're just going to reuse the one we have down here where we have methods, and instead of this we'll have delete cakes. And it's a function that's opened, and we still want to grab here, we still want to go into the props into the cake because that's where the items are in here, cakes. So we just want to remove one of these for each time we click the button. So this .cake.pop. And .pop is a JavaScript way of removing the last item in an array. So in our case, the first item it will remove will be cinnamon buns, and then healthy cake, and then so on and so on. So let's save, and let's see what this actually does. So we have both our components being printed out here. And if I click one of these, it's going to delete both of those, both healthy cakes, cinnamon buns in that one and healthy cake in this one. And if I click again, it's going to continue removing those until there's no more left. And that's because it's a reference, so it's just referencing the data object, data type, or the data set we're using from here. And once something is removed, in this case, the last one here, it's going to go, oh, something happened, something changed. I'm going to now send the newest version to the components that are using my data set here. So if you delete something, again, if you're using multiple components, as I mentioned before, and you change something inside a child component, or if you do the parent component as well, it's going to update them for all of the components. Now, there are ways to, if for some reason you would only want to change one of them, so you can have a component for here, like the header part or the footer part, where it's the same, it's using the same data in like we have in here. So let's go here. If we created another one called, I don't know, text something, and that's a string, and then you can actually manipulate so only one of those items will change and not both of them. It's because it's a different type. So strings, arrays, they are more part of the reference type, whereas a string were more part of the primitive. So they can, if I click something here, I could change this title here. If it says web title much awesome on both of those, and I clicked, it will only be the one I clicked. So only changing that specific one. That would be a local version of the type of the data, right? So that's kind of the two different ones that we'll be using. If I'm going to use something, it's probably mostly going to be the reference because I want the data to be the same. That's also the reason why it's being put out here. So if something changes, all of them changes instead of me having to change the other way around. All right, hope that gives you a little thing. So primitive types and reference type, and we're using reference type here.